What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Van Chats. I'm sitting with Kevin Vermaerke from the U.S. He actually just recently signed to Team Sunweb, which is now going to Team DSM. So they're doing some rebranding and all that craziness. But anyways, Kevin, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. I was really stoked to get you on. I know we've been trying to plan this out for quite some time. I've been super busy. You've been super busy. But finally, we've made this freaking happen. And really, the reason why I wanted to get you on is because I've heard about you. You're a great cyclist. You're an amazing cyclist here in the U.S. But I feel like with a lot of the cyclists in the U.S., if you're not doing something crazy and totally off the cuff right now, you're not getting enough recognition. So I want to introduce you to our listeners, and I want to get to know you and kind of where it all started. So let's just dive into, your background in cycling. You rode for Action, but where did it all start? How did it all happen? Let's go.
Yeah, for me, it all started on the mountain bike. My dad was a big cyclist growing up. He grew up in South Africa, but his family was from Belgium. So road cycling was huge in the family. So when he was junior, he was going to Belgium and racing on the road. He actually did a lot of track. He went to the World Championships in 1991 in Colorado Springs.
Oh, right.
And got a silver medal in the individual pursuit. And then when he got to under 23, obviously that was a time when a lot of doping was going on, and he just didn't really have it in the end. But yeah, cycling was a big part of his life, and so growing up, I'd always go on mountain bike rides with him on the weekends, and I started to get into mountain bike racing, and it all started from there. I eventually got onto the road when I was like 15, 16, and then junior 17, 18 years, I focused on the road a little bit more, and then finally made the full transition once I became under 23.
Yeah. Who did you ride for? What teams? Because I think guys come from Hot Tubes now, Lux, there's so many crazy development teams. How did you end up on Action?
Yeah, so I rode for Lux.
Okay.
There's two big teams, Hot Tubes and Lux are the two main ones. So when I first got into road cycling, Lux was like a local SoCal team, pretty small. I mean, they had a lot of support, but it was this local team run by Roy Nickman. And I'd always see him at the races, and we kind of built that connection. And when I got to be a junior, he said, why don't you come join the team? And at that point, they became a little bit more national. They brought on more national riders from Colorado, back east. It kind of expanded to more than just a Southern California team. And yeah, Lux was the perfect place to ride for as a junior. I mean, they went to Europe. They had the best support. I mean, you go to these junior races, and we have all these wheels, spare bikes, these tent set up, trainers, and it's you feel like you're on a pro team almost. So to get that chance as a junior was a big help.
No, yeah, I've been lucky enough to ride with some of those kids on Lux. I don't think I've ever met Roy, but just seeing the way those kids are decked out and the level of support is unreal. So it's great to have teams like Lux and Hot Tubes around to provide that support and kind of give that pathway to guys like you. And so that kind of brings us into, signing to the World Tour. How did that come about? You had a pretty decent season in 2019, and
yeah,
good.
Yeah, so 2019 was the first year on Action, my first year under 23. And going into the year, I really had no idea what to expect. I mean, there was some big names on Action, like Mikkel Bjerg, 3-time world champion, Ian Garrison, Johnny Brown, U.S. national champion. So, I didn't know what to expect, but we did some big races, and I went into the season with the mindset of, hoping to learn from those guys, but also if I got my chance and I try to take it and capitalize on it. And yeah, my first race was Redlands, and right away, Sean Quinn and I, he was on Lex as well, we both came onto the team at the same time. Right away we went first and fifth on the time trial, and then the next day I won. And, right away we kind of got thrown into that team leadership role. And I was kind of able to carry that through the season and go into some of the bigger races with more of a leadership role, I would say. And more of my own chances. And it paid off. Yeah, I won under 23 Liège, and then I had some good rides at Tour of Yorkshire and Tour of Utah, and a couple other good results that made 2019 a good year for me. And yeah, that's where all the doors really started to open up.
Yeah, like that's unreal. Like under 23 Liège, like with so I've done it, like the closest I've come to an event like that is like doing a 6-day. And in Europe and things like that. And the under 23s are nuts because it's like people are willing to give their left arm to just get a chance, just to get looked at. And so like, it kind of has me wondering, like, what's under 23 Liège like? Is it just complete pandemonium and chaos, like from the gun? Or is there a few guys in there that are like, hey, let's chill out. Everybody, you guys got to know your place. Like let's kind of settle down, because there's that camaraderie, I think, in the pro peloton that we all kind of know about, like where people kind of tame the teams down. And there's even that camaraderie in the US. I mean, we're starting to kind of lose it because we're losing some of those bigger pro teams like United Healthcare Rally, et cetera, like to shepherd those groups. But what's U23 Liège like? Because you got national teams and all kinds of people coming in for that.
Yeah, I definitely say it's a fine balance between like junior racing and pro racing, because obviously you have guys, I was 18 at the time, so 18-year-olds all the way up to 22-year-olds. And then you also have guys who are, maybe have already signed to the World Tour, they're going to the World Tour, and they're more mature, they have more experience. And then you also have the younger guys who maybe don't know what they're doing. And then, like you said, you have those guys that are right on the edge and, they just need one more result and they're willing to risk anything. So I think it's a little bit of a balance between that, like controlled pro style of racing, but at the same time, still really aggressive. And, there are definitely kids that don't get the memo on how the race is going. But yeah, I'd say it's a fine compromise between the two.
Sweet. Yeah. Because so what does that have? Like, how does that have your mindset going into? I mean, because you obviously have to be a great bike rider, right? But it's almost like you have to start over. I think I was watching something on EF Pro Education where they were talking about like some of the older guys that are shepherding some of the young guys in, where they're great bike riders, but it's just a whole new world because you're kind of inserting yourself into a whole new group of people and a whole new group of experience, and you kind of have to write your story all over again in this group of people, and first impressions matter. So what's kind of your mindset going into 2021, let's say barring no COVID, like, and you're racing again, what's kind of your mindset?
I mean, it's going to be an interesting year, and yeah, hopefully everything, can get back to normal pretty soon. But, I met Team Sunweb last year in December and went to a training camp with them. So I kind of have a feel for how the team works. And I know quite a few of the guys, and I feel pretty comfortable with them. And honestly, I think it's easy to maybe get it can seem pretty daunting, I guess, stepping up to the World Tour. But at the same time, I've done quite a few pro races now with, World Tour guys. And, at the end of the day, everyone has two legs and they have to pedal the same. So I just think back to when I stepped up from the juniors to Action, it was kind of the same thing. Like, it seemed a little bit daunting, but, I just had faith in myself and I knew what I could do. And it turned out to be a really positive experience right away. So I'm hoping to do the same thing next year.
So this DSM or Team Subweb contract has pretty much been in the talks for like a year. And you go to and correct me if I'm wrong. So you go to this training camp, you try it out, you get a feel for it. Like, is it pretty much like, hey, we got a contract for you in 2021? Or is it like, yo, you have to hit these benchmarkers, February, March, April, May, June, July, whatever. And then we'll have that conversation in October. Well, what was that like? So what was that process like, especially in COVID? You just signed a World Tour contract during COVID, where, teams are folding, teams are coming back. Is racing going to happen? What's going on? So what was that like?
Yeah, it's crazy how it all worked out, actually. After last season, in October and November, I had some interest from World Tour teams, and I actually ended up going to a Sunweb camp in December and a Quick Step camp in January.
Okay.
So I'd say they're two pretty different teams, but I was kind of able to get a feel for both of them and see how they worked, and kind of see how I would fit into both of them. And yeah, I really liked what I saw at Sunweb, and I felt like that would be the best fit for me. And then I pretty much had the opportunity to sign. I ended up signing in February, beginning of February. And at the time I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should wait a little bit. Like, the contract will be there. Maybe I should, wait, see how my season goes. Maybe I'll have a fantastic season, and, we can see what happens. But I ended up saying, it's a 3-year contract. The security of it really appealed to me, and I felt like that was a really good team for me. So I ended up signing in February. And then, obviously we know how everything went from there. I think it was about a month later that things just completely shut down. And I was pretty thankful I got that wrapped up pretty early.
That's freaking nuts. So what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think would have happened if you didn't sign that contract? You'd be.
I think it probably wouldn't have changed anything in the end, but there definitely would have been a few months there where I would have been shitting my pants. But luckily it all came through.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. Yeah, like just thinking about that. And so, I mean, let's dive into like a little bit of the rider that you are. Like, giving our listeners, like, what is your goals? I guess 3-year contract with DSM or Team Subweb. Like, what kind of rider you are? I mean, especially after watching Sunweb at the tour, like it. Not that they came out of nowhere, but it kind of is like they did. I mean, with Mark Hershey, a couple stage wins, like it was insane. Like usually, I mean, with teams just chasing stage wins, they were probably the most dominant team when it came down to that. So what kind of rider are you, and are you expected to be, I guess, for a DSM?
Yeah, I think, I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit myself. As a junior, I liked races that had more climbing in them. And then as an under 23 also, I was a decent climber, probably more like an Ardennes Classics type climber, like 10 to 15-minute climbs really suit me.
Yeah.
But obviously, like this year I did Tour de Lane, which was a just pure climbing race with a lot of the guys that went to the Tour de France. And I mean, if you think you're a pure climber, your odds are you're probably not.
You got humbled.
But definitely got humbled. But I think over the next 3 years, I kind of want to try like a variety of races, maybe do some more pure climbing races, some classics. But I think like the Ardennes Classics, Liège, Amstel Gold, like the World Championships is usually a course that always suits me. So I kind of want to be that rider like a Hershey or an Alaphilippe. It's kind of opportunistic, and kind of no matter what the course is, they can just take advantage of the situation and read the race and capitalize on it.
That's awesome. So, I mean, and I know this is going to probably be a hard question to answer, and if you could even answer it at all. But like, has there been talks of what your schedule is going to look like, or what the team's goals are for you? Like, are they planning on sending you to classics? Are they planning on sending you even to a Grand Tour your first year? Like, what's the chats on that?
Yeah, nothing's set in stone at the moment, but in the next week or two, actually, we're having all the meetings with the coaches and the trainers to plan out the year and dial everything in. But I think I'll get a chance at a few big races, and I'm hoping. I think the best thing for me would be to try to get quite a few race days. Obviously, this year got cut short, and the previous year, I think I did about 33 race days. So I think if I could do like 50 to 60 race days and kind of build up that volume, that would be the best case scenario.
Just kind of just throw you in there and see how you handle it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right on. So is there anybody on the team that you've already kind of, I guess, buddied up with, or like do you chat with, or that you're looking up to, I guess, more or less for just feedback and conversation?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously Chad Hagens, an American on Sunweb, and then also Corinne Rivera. She lives in SoCal, probably like 20, 30 minutes away from me.
Oh, okay.
So I'll see her out on the group ride sometimes. But then Sunweb's also a really young team. I mean, I think that definitely they're the youngest team on average by far. And so a lot of the guys that I've raced in the past 2 or 3 years are I know on the team. So I have that connection already. And then just going to the camp in December, I kind of was able to build some more connections. So it definitely doesn't feel like I'm going to a completely new team where I don't know anybody.
Oh, that's good, man. Well, that's cool. So, I guess diving into, goals for the next, 3 years, like what's a goal of yours or a race that that you want to do well, whether it's worlds or, or if it's, you're just like, hey man, I don't even know, but like, what are your goals, I guess, where is Kevin going to be 3 years from today kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely my biggest goal is just to make an impact. I mean, especially this year, you've seen the younger riders doing well. I mean, Pogacar won the Tour at 21. Bernal, I think, was 21 too. Hershey's young.
Yeah.
And you have the guys like Evenepoel that are doing well. And so I really want to try and, make an impact right away. And next year is, I think, the under 23 Worlds course will suit me really well. So I definitely want to try and win that. And then
if you're in the World Tour, you can still race under 23 Worlds, yeah?
Yeah, you can still race under 23 Worlds, but if you do Elite Worlds, then you can't go back and do under 23 Worlds.
Okay.
So next year would probably be I think I could do under 23 Worlds for 2 more years, but probably next year would be my last attempt, and the course suits me pretty well. So I'd want to try that. And then definitely in the bigger like Liège or Amstel, get the experience in those races, and then hopefully within a year or 2 or 3, I'll be at the level that I can be competing for the podiums at those races.
Right on, man. That's so impressive. And like I said, like before we even started the podcast, like one of the things I really like about you is that like not many people know about you, I guess, in the sense of like you're not, it's not like bright, and you're not like this big flashy US rider, but you're going to the World Tour. And then like when we planned this podcast, an article came out about you from Velonews is like one of the riders that is probably going to interrupt the World Tour in 2021. And I kind of see that because it was almost like last year you interrupted Redlands, and you even said it. You were like, yeah, I just found myself one day in this leadership role. It's like I had a good race, and then the next thing you know, I'm a leader, and I just kind of had to figure it out. So what are your thoughts on that? Have you seen that article about that came out about you?
Yeah, my dad sent it to me. Actually, I did read it.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on that, man? Like, because like just from the basic conversation I've had with you, you're a pretty humble dude. You're pretty to yourself, and you just let your legs do the talking, like you said earlier. But yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, especially these days. I feel like, if you're getting media, it's probably not for the best reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so maybe it's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, I guess I don't, do that much talking or that much posting, but I'm really confident in myself and what I can do. And I think eventually if you just keep putting in that work and the results come, then they'll speak for themselves. But, I'm just really focused on working hard and just continuing to grow, and hopefully next year already I can continue to build that name for myself, and just do what I know I can do.
Yeah, man. No, it's so cool. And like, I hope you get nothing but success, and you do interrupt the World Tour. I think the US is definitely lacking that and needing that, because like, I mean, another guy that I think is not talked about enough is Will Barta. Like, I mean, for him to go out and do what he did, what at the Vuelta, I believe, was super impressive. And even Chad Haga, like, I feel like he's not talked about enough. There's a lot of those athletes that I think kind of keep to themselves. They're big time workhorses of the teams. But like Chad Haga, several top tens, even podiums in time trials. Like, I mean, Ian Garrison's another one of those guys that I feel like is not talked about enough, who hopefully we'll have on the podcast here soon. Georgia guy, so we're pretty close, but like close in distance. I don't know him all too well. We got to race a little bit together, but yeah, I think it's super cool. Like the US guys that are coming up. So I'm super glad that you came on. One more question though, just before I let you go. I know it's getting late over there. You probably need some food. Did a long ride today. But yeah, if you could have coffee with one individual, dead or alive, who would that be, and how would you take your coffee? If you don't drink coffee, that's totally cool. But pick
no, I definitely drink coffee.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but there's some cyclists that are way against it. It's very random, but it happens. But yeah, who would you have that cup of coffee with? And how would you take your coffee and why?
Yeah, it's funny. My friend and I saw this question. I was thinking about it for a while. My friend and I were talking about it this morning on our ride.
Yeah.
I think if I could have coffee with someone, it'd definitely be probably Conor McGregor. I think
Whoa. All right.
he's probably one of my idols. So
Really?
I would just want to see like that savage mentality. It just like that's something I really admire, and how you can just like switch on and just get so in the zone and just like become a killer. So yeah, I'd want to see like how he operates day to day, and his mindset and just how he works really.
That's hilarious because I feel like you two are the most opposite people, at least just from this conversation. I don't know you that well, but like I don't see you like pouncing around like before a ride, just like, oh yeah, it's game time. Like I don't really see that in you, but I think it's pretty interesting that that's a guy that you look up to or you would want to have coffee with.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of the mindset you have to have if you want to. I mean, I think like across the board in all sports, like just the pure winners, they have that mindset of, all or nothing really,
Yeah,
do or
yeah.
die. So I admire that.
Sweet. So how would you take your coffee?
There's this cafe near us where we're doing this training camp at the moment, actually, and they have a
Yeah.
coffee called a Golden State, and it's like, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like a coffee with turmeric in it,
Huh.
and it's really good. And I've been on that lately, so I'd say a Golden State coffee with turmeric. It's pretty good.
Well, that's awesome. Well,
I,
before
I'd,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'd recommend you try it. It sounds weird, but it's pretty
No,
good.
no, that actually does sound pretty good. So before I let you go, though, you mentioned a training camp. So who are you training with, and what's that camp look like? Because I've seen pictures, and it looks like you've got some either up and coming guys or guys that are already in the world tour out there. So who are you training with, and what's the camp looking like right now?
Yeah, we've been out in the Santa Monica Mountains now for a couple weeks. I'm training with some of my friends, Quinn Simmons, Andrew Vollmer, and Richard Holick. We've been out here putting in some base season training, and yeah, the weather's good, the roads are good, and they're good friends. So it's been a good camp.
Right on, man. Well, we wish you nothing but the best, man. And like I said, man, I thank you so much for coming on. And I really do think you will interrupt the world tour, if not this year, within the coming years. And who knows, you'll probably wake up one morning and have that leadership role on DSM or whatever team is lucky to have you. But again, thanks so much for jumping on. Guys, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And in the description below, we'll have Kevin's social media as well as Team DSM or Team Sunweb, as they were formerly known. Their social media will be down in the description below. Other than that, guys, thanks.